Hello everybody, this is Excel video 328 and I'm Nate Moore. Got an email yesterday saying, hey Nate, do you know Access? Can you help us with a project? And I've written a practice management system in Access and a clinical database management system in Access. Yeah, I know Access and I'd love to help you if you get a project along those lines. We're going to simplify things here for a minute. I got my pivot table back to just doctor and insurance. And I want to talk about pivot charts. There's a bunch of things we need to talk about in regards to pivot charts. We're going to start today by charting coding levels. What I did is I took the E&M code and I just took the last digit off of the code and called it code level. So when I drag it down here, I've got level 1s, level 2s, level 3s, level 4s, and level 5s. And I can see, let me move my field list away for a minute, that, hey, excuse me, Dr. Book does not do any level 1s. Dr. Scott didn't do any level 1s or any level 5s. And I can kind of get a feel by looking at it, but it would be really helpful to see this data with a couple of tweaks. What I might do is, instead of, there we go, showing the raw numbers, I'm going to show values as a percentage of the column. So I can say 0% is level 1, 14%, 37% is level 3, and on. Now that I have the data like this, what I can do is chart it to see how my different physicians compare with the levels of E&M coding. There are a couple ways to get to a pivot chart. One way is from this pivot chart area in the pivot table options menu. And that will bring up this insert chart window that looks an awful lot like, if you go to the insert tab, and you'll see these very same options over here. For whatever reason, I'm in the habit of insert and then getting a line chart, but I suppose it's a click faster to do it from the options menu and do pivot chart. And here's column and line and the different types of charts as you go down. So from the pivot table options chart menu, I'm going to choose the first line option and click OK. And now I have a pivot chart. There are a couple things we need to say about a pivot chart, but just for this video, I wanted to show you how to get there and then show you how friendly it is. What I can do is, if I don't want to see all my physicians, I can see, level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I want to filter out and say, I just want to see those 3 physicians, book, cross, and note, that quick, I can change my chart around and I can see that all 3 of these have level 1s, level 3s. Looks like Dr. Note is the highest level 3 and the highest in level 5, and Dr. Book seems to be skewed more towards the higher E&M codes than her partners and all that kind of stuff, simply from a pivot chart. The beauty is I can do the filter here, or I can come over here. Notice if I drag this out of the way, see book, cross, and note. See how by filtering on the pivot chart, the pivot table automatically does the same, and I can come over here and take book away and add shield. Now I've got cross, note, and shield, and cross, note, and shield, and my chart updates automatically. They're connected between the two, so you can change the pivot chart. The table moves, you can change the table, and the chart moves. Very handy when you're trying to filter and move charts around, especially, it's so much easier if you've got a pivot table to move data sets in and out than having to go to the select data menu and move things in and out and add and subtract series of data and say, well, I just want to look at this way and then add it back. It's so much easier to come and filter and say, yeah, just add Dr. Ribbon to the mix and see what happens. And sure enough, there's Dr. Ribbon, way more level 3s than his partners. That's what I wanted to show you today. Just an introduction to, hey, there's a pivot chart out there and it's linked to the pivot table. When you add fields to the pivot chart, there's stuff all over the place in this chart. I want to talk about what these things are on the chart, how to use them, how to get rid of them, and we'll do all that in the next Excel video. Thanks for watching.